I think that the arrests in Saudi Arabia raise more questions than they provide answers right now. The list of people who we know have been detained contains very different types of groups. I mean, there are members of the ruling family, and those kinds of arrests would indicate that maybe there was grumbling within the family about the consolidation of power by Mohammed bin Salman. But then there are a number of really important figures in the private sector. And those private sector arrests, I think, are the most puzzling thing about the events of the last couple of days in Saudi Arabia. Mohammed bin Salman's Vision 2030 plan to diversify the economy in Saudi Arabia and reduce the reliance on oil requires that you have a local private sector and international investors who are willing to invest in the country. Just a week ago, there was a major conference for international investors to try to sell them on the idea of investing in Saudi Arabia. And if you're going to arrest some of the major figures, some of the big names in your private sector, I think it's going to introduce a lot of uncertainty into both domestic and foreign investment possibilities, because capitalists like certainty. And these kinds of arrests where you don't know what the charges are, there's not actually a legal framework within which these arrests were made, is going to introduce quite a bit of uncertainty into investment decisions. So it's a puzzle to me why the Crown Prince decided to move in this direction. Also moved against a number of technocrats, economic technocrats, some serving in government, some who had been in government, who were kind of part and parcel of this move to try to diversify the economy. And so it's a puzzle what the long-term goal here is. I think on the political side, I didn't really see a challenge to Mohammed bin Salman emerging within the family. So these arrests within the family, I see them as perhaps more preventive than preemptive. I didn't find the talk of a coup or a coup plot that one heard in the last couple of days to be very convincing. Prince Mittab bin Abdullah, of course, was head of the National Guard, which was the one military formation in the country that was not under Prince Mohammed bin Salman's control. But I saw absolutely no evidence that there was an effort by Prince Mittab to try to organize a cohort within the family to try to challenge Mohammed bin Salman. In many ways, I think the removal of Mohammed bin Nayef as Crown Prince and Minister of the Interior, which happened some months ago, was in some ways the more important consolidation of power by Mohammed bin Salman. And that was done without all of this fuss, without arresting all sorts of other people, without the kind of crisis atmosphere that's been created by this round of arrests. So to me, I think it's interesting that we have to parse out the kind of various groups that are involved in this. And I think that particularly in the area of the private sector grandees, I'd include Prince Al-Walid bin Talal more in that group than in the family group, because he wasn't really that significant in terms of Saudi politics. You know, these very big names in the private sector. Why they were arrested remains to me the biggest question mark in the events of the last few days.